Hello YouTube. I want to tell you about some of the supervisor conduct at UPS at the warehouses, both part-time and full-time supervisors. As an hourly employee there, I often encountered a hostile workplace environment. Part-time supervisors would get into arguments with and swear at other workers. They would get angry and they would throw packages. My full-time supervisor would throw packages when I was working there and throw screaming tantrums that could be heard across the front wall within the UPS warehouse hub. Full-time supervisors above him were aware of it. The sort supervisor was aware of it and did nothing. It was routine to see part-time supervisors and full-time supervisors use abusive language towards part-time employees there, swearing at them, cussing at them, expressing harsh criticism, telling them to work faster, making unreasonable demands that were completely unprofessional. It was a hot workplace in the summer, and people didn't want to be there. And they would get very, very angry. Part-time supervisors would get very, very angry. The lack of air conditioning made the environment very inhospitable, and people's temperaments ran very hot. I had a guy come into one of my trucks. I was working at door 43 at one of the hubs in the outbound on the twilight shift. And this guy came in and just stood in my truck. I was getting a lot of workflow. He was an hourly worker. And he was texting on his phone instead of working. He had tattoos and a tank top on. Big muscular guy. And this man did not want to work. I told him, hey, look, you promised to help out after I helped in your work area. This one occasion. This guy threatens to whip my ass just for saying that to him. And we ended up going to human resources because I escalated it. And I was forced, as a victim of this person, to sign a non-harassment agreement stating that if either one of us engaged in hostile workplace harassment type behavior, we would be terminated. And not long after that, within just a few days, the other worker was terminated. I never started arguments or fought with people. I was always professional. I had strict workplace conduct rules for myself that I upheld even when other people were not observing those rules. And I was good to people. I took care of other workers. But the verbal harassment that I experienced from supervisors there, both part-time and full-time, was unconscionable. And I don't recommend UPS as a workplace to other workers because they're abusive to their part-time employees, whether you're hourly or management. But they're especially abusive if you are in management on any level. It was an unpleasant environment. The job itself was simple, but a lot of the managers took management positions because they didn't want to have to do the same work that hourly workers were doing. And circumstances frequently necessitated management getting involved to help out in the loads on an almost daily basis because they didn't staff right and they didn't pay well. And they would try to push the volume at unsafe speeds, which created obstructions to the exits whenever there's an emergency. I was one of those guys that would get in there and I would work myself to the bone, working as fast and as hard as I could, trying to uphold the standards that were set, even though those standards were completely unreasonable. And I I was a model employee, except for the fact that I was late to work because I had young kids and a sick wife, and it was a frequent issue for me to be 10 to 15 minutes late. But I was there, and I would always communicate as much as I could be. I was there, except for when I was physically too sick to work from the heat at the hub, or there was a serious family emergency. And the hub, the warehouse, would not work with me after my spouse died, even though I had small children. They're like, come back to work right now or we're gonna fire you. That's how they are. They're completely unreasonable at points. I needed support, and they weren't there for me. They weren't. They canceled my insurance when I was very seriously sick. And the company doesn't treat you like a person. They treat you as disposable, like a number, even after you have a decade invested with the company. You could be a model worker, putting in your absolute best effort, trying to meet circumstances, and they just don't give a damn about you. That's the type of company UPS is. They're abusive, and they're toxic, and they have a unsafe and unhealthy, abusive work-life balance.